In my profiler, doing pretty good. Alright, so CPU wise, still really good. Rendering, only got 17 draw calls, 9 set pass calls at the moment. Okay, so performance wise, everything is still really good. Now, it's not much of a game because we've only got 3 characters and all we have to do is just shoot them once and they barely even move. Okay, so we definitely don't want that. What we want effectively is the appearance of lots and lots of characters, but without actually overloading your system with lots and lots of characters. So we're going to create a spawning system, but we're going to do so using a pooling system, which is effectively just switching characters on and off. Now at the moment I'm going to focus on the zombie character without the other characters, but before I do so, I've noticed a bit of a timing issue. The bat death looks good, the ghost death is too long, and the zombie death is a bit too long because he starts to slide a little bit. So in my script, what I first want to do is I need a new wait for seconds for ghost. So wait for seconds, and I'll call it ghost death time equals new wait for seconds, and I'm going to have this one pretty short at about 0.3. and whenever you add these decimals in a float, always put an F after it to let it know that it is a decimal float value. Okay, otherwise it considers it some kind of a, mind you, it is a float, but it just expects the F so that it understands exactly what it is. Zombie time is a little bit too long, so I'm going to make this about 1.5 F. Okay, and the bat death time is very good. So I'm going to go down here to ghost death time. And I just want to double check these again to make sure that those timings are now a lot more effective. I'm going to go back to game and just switch off my audio for the moment. So let's take a look. So yeah, I shoot the bat. Alright, that's good. Shoot the ghost. Yeah, could be a little bit quicker there. Zombie, much more effective. Alright, excellent. So just that. Ghost just a little bit faster. So about 0.2. Just leave it at that. Okay, so as I say, it wouldn't be much of a game unless you get lots and lots of enemies. So I'm going to focus on the zombie character to begin with. So I'm just going to take these 2 characters and switch them off. And what I want is a second zombie character. Clicking on this one, I'm going to do a Control and D to duplicate. And let's just move this one maybe over this side. Just get him to kind of look at the player. Alright, so now we've got 2 zombies. Now when we switch them off, we need to tell them where to reappear. So we need some kind of a spawn spot. So I'm going to create a few of these. I'm going to create a spawn spot just up here, spawn point. So game object, 3D object, just a cube to begin with so I can visualize it. Yep, I think that's fine. And I'll call this spawn point 1. Let's duplicate that, Control and D. And might have another spawn point over here. So this would be spawn point 2. Control and D, let's have another one. Let's put it further up here. Spawn point 3. Control and D, let's put another one over here. Spawn point 4. Okay. Now I definitely don't need to, in fact let me just double check that last spawn point. 1, 2, 3, but I can't see that last one, it's out of screen, so actually I'll just bring that in a bit. Just put my simulator over on this side a little bit. There it is. Okay, good. I'm going to put it up there. The reason why, I don't want characters spawning off screen so that I don't actually see them. Although I can move my screen over, I don't want them to be spawning too far away. So actually I'm just going to bring this down a bit just so that it kind of spawns over here. This one's good. This one's probably too close actually. So I might have this one kind of spawn even further back, all the way over here. Gives you time to actually react then. Yep. Okay, I think that's fine. Now obviously I don't want to see these spawn points. They only exist as transforms. So I'm just going to take all 4 of them, right click and remove the box collider, right click and remove the mesh renderer. Don't even need a mesh filter, I can right click and remove that. All I'm interested in is their positions. Okay, so that's fine. So now in the script I need to assign these at the beginning. So let me leave myself a message, spawn points. So first, what do we need? We need a public integer I'm simply going to call zombies on screen. Now at the moment I have two zombies. Okay. Then I need in fact it doesn't need to be public, this can be a private of type game object. I'm going to call last destroyed zombie. This is a place where the actual zombie character can be stored and accessed in the script. And then finally I need the public of type transform called spawn point 1. And obviously we've got 4 of these, so we'll Control and C, Control and V, Control and V, Control and V. Let's change the numbers on these, so 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so let's just make sure that we assign these to begin with, otherwise I will undoubtedly forget. So on the ground, we just simply need to assign these spawn points. And these spawn points are not going to move, so they can actually be set to static. Okay, since they're not going to move. But they don't have any rendering elements anyway, they're only transforms. Okay, so what we need to do now in the... Oh, actually, I think we need some more elements. We need the character to look at the player, so we need access to our actual player. I think actually do I not have player already? Got a target exclude, but no, I don't have the player on here. So public of type transform called player, and then I'm going to have a private integer whole number I'm simply going to call spot. I'm going to make that equal 1 to begin with. This is then going to iterate through. If it's 1, 2, 3 or 4, it will line up with spawn point 1, 2, 3 or 4. Then a private transform. This is so that I can store the value of the next available slot. Okay, and then finally, a new wait for seconds. I'm going to call it spawn time. Okay, equals a new wait for seconds that lasts exactly 1 second. So now in the start, what I want to do is call a new function. I'll call it simply time countdown. We'll be using this later. The time countdown will add a timer, but from here we can also call a lot of other functions that don't need to run in the update. The update call is called once per frame, so if you're running 60 frames per second, it would be called 60 times a second, whereas a custom function, you can get that to run, let's say, once a second if you want, and that's what we're going to do. So I want my own function now called time countdown. So that's going to be a void time countdown. And from here, I can now start a new coroutine that I will call time delay. So as I come down to my coroutines, I'll do this one slightly above these. No, actually, I'll do it below these deaths enumerators. So enumerator, I will call time delay. I'm going to run my yield, return, and it's going to be spawn time. Okay, so in other words, that's once per second. So, why doesn't it like the start coroutine? Why is it? The name start coroutine does not exist. Why not? Oh yeah, I've spelt it wrong. Of course, yeah. Basically, on the start, we're running this function, and then the function is going to loop again and again. So it's basically going to run this coroutine that's going to force it to only run every once per second. All right, which is optimizing for mobile. Not everything has to run every frame. Okay, so inside of our time delay, we're going to say time countdown. That's going to force it back to that custom function that we have, and so it's going to be on a constant loop that's going to run over every second. And then we're going to do check for enemies. It's another custom function that we're going to write in a second. And so I'm just wondering where to put this. I might put it just below shoot. So void check for enemies. Okay. Whenever we shoot a zombie, we have our zombies on screen. We want to minus that number. Okay, so if we hit a zombie, we're simply going to say zombies on screen minus minus, so that we know we've killed a zombie. So then in the check for enemies, we can actually check that. So we can say if zombies on screen are less than 2 in this case, then we can do something. Okay, so in this case we're going to do another function that we're going to call check spots, so that we can find what is the next available spawn spot. Let's do that first before we do anything else. Void check spots. Okay, and the check spots is simply going to say if spot is equal to 1, then next available slot is going to equal spawn spot 1, or spawn point 1 rather. I'm going to copy this, Control and C, Control and V, Control and V, and once again Control and V. So now I'm going to say if spot is equal to 2, then it's going to equal spawn point 2. If it's equal to 3, then it's going to equal spawn point 3, and if it's 4, then it's going to equal spawn point 4. So notice we're just using this one variable of next available slot, but we keep changing its position based on whatever this spot is reading. So now back up to our check for enemies, and we're going to say if last destroyed zombie is not equal. Alright, so if it's 2 equals, it means it is equal to a value. If it's exclamation mark, which is a not equal, is checking if it isn't equal to null. That's effectively saying as long as that slot is not empty. So it's actually filled with some kind of a zombie. If that's the case, then we're going to say last destroyed zombie dot transform dot position is equal to the next available slot dot position. So it moves that zombie into that place, and then we have to iterate through the spots now. So we're going to say if spot is less than 4, just put a space there, then we're simply going to increase the spot amount. We're going to increment it up. Okay, however, if spot is equal to 4, so we've reached the limit, we're going to return back to the first one again. Spot equals 1. Alright, so it's an endless loop that keeps going around, and then we're going to get our last destroyed zombie to actually face our player. So last destroyed zombie dot transform dot look at, and what is it going to look at? It's going to look at the player. Okay, and notice this only runs once. Alright, it only runs on one frame. Be careful not to use your look at over multiple frames. You know, otherwise your any animations are going to look really weird. We only need it to look at the player once. And then finally we just need to switch it on. Okay, so last destroyed zombie dot set active to true, and it will basically reappear again. And then finally, when we come up to where we're shooting the zombie, we have to basically set our zombie to the last destroyed zombie. So we're going to say last destroyed zombie equals hit dot transform dot game object. Whichever zombie we've just hit, basically that will then get passed into that last destroyed zombie slot. And then when we're checking the zombies, as soon as we've spawned the zombie back, then we simply need to say zombies on screen plus plus. So we set it back to 2, otherwise we're going to get an endless loop of zombies. So let's save this and see what happens at the moment. So on our ground, just check for any missing. Yep, I've got one there, player. I'll use main camera, that's fine, into the player slot. So let's just check this now. So I'll try it in this character. So it goes down. Oh, he appeared in the back there, something happened. Oh, he's there as well. Now what's happening is because of the delay, it is working, but obviously because I've delayed the destruction of the zombie by 2 seconds, it's actually spawning instantly and then basically killing it at the new position. Okay, so I need to make sure that my zombie's on screen. Minus is not happening here. If I just take this out, Control X to cut, I'm actually going to do it in the zombie death. Okay, as soon as it switched the zombie off, then I can do that. Control and V. Save. Let's check it now. So let's try it again. Kill this guy. Then he appears up there. Kill this guy. Appears there. Try and kill that guy. He appears over there in the top left. Kill this guy, and he appears there in the top right. Okay, so it's basically switching them on and off. But at the moment they're not targeting me. They're not walking towards me. So we need to fix that. Now, in the enemy move, if it's a zombie, we're running this move too. But this start function only gets called right at the beginning of the game when the zombie is first switched on. We need to call this from another script. So to do that, we're simply going to make this void public so that it's available to other scripts. So now that we have access to this, we can then call it. Okay, so as soon as we spawn one of these creatures, last destroyed zombie set active to true, then we're simply going to say last destroyed zombie dot transform dot game object. In fact, I don't think I need that because it is a game object, isn't it? So dot get component, and the component that I want is basically the script, the enemy move. So I'm going to type enemy move, there it is, recognizes it. Now open and close brackets, and then from there I can press dot and call any of the functions. And I simply called it move to. So let's call that dot move to. There we go, and then semicolon on the end. So we're effectively calling that function, setting the agent destination to the player target dot position. Save that. And now I can test this out. So I think this time I'll shoot the zombie on the left. Shoot the zombie on the right. Now notice that the zombies are now walking toward me again. Good. Shoot this zombie. And this one. Oh, I missed. And that guy's got stuck behind the tombstone. Okay, good. We've got an endless wave of zombies, or at least 2 zombies. So obviously we're going to put more zombies in a little bit later, but we know that we've got a system that now works. Great. In the next video we're going to do the same for the bats and the ghosts. However, if you want to give that a go yourself, by all means, give it a go if you like, but I am going to show you how that works in the next video.